hottest nerd, like nerdiest, like
I want drinks.
very inspirational. Like not many people can say that.
I think people think it's more natural for me than it is.
Everyone's just living life for the first time.
Nature has seasons, so do humans. Buy my book, please, everyone.
Yeah, buy the org.
And remember, sexy is an attitude. We are in fact recording this here on stolen Gadigal land of the Eora Nation, which we have the fortune to live, work and create on. We acknowledge the traditional owners of country and recognise their continuing connection to land, waters and culture. We pay respect to their elders, past, present and emerging, and hope to share connection to land, waters and culture for a meaningful and sustainable future. We acknowledge the split in our identity and wish to heal it.
Hello and welcome to Hot Nerds. I'm not Kieran Hennessy. I am the intern, Joel Rainbow. And Kieran is right here as well.
Hello.
Hi.
How are you today, Joel?
I'm good, thank you, Kieran. How are you?
Delightful. It's nice to not be the one doing all of the interviewing.
I know. I did ask Kieran if we could swap seats just because I just feel like I'm used to being left.
Well, you've seen my haircuts and hairdos over the whole first season, and
I mean, yeah.
I'm sure you're doing fine compared to some of the looks I've been serving.
I do quite often like signal to Kieran to just move his hair out of his eyes a little bit. I'm normally behind the camera. Maybe we should explain what's going on.
Yeah, so Joel is we've wrapped up with a 10 episode first season. Thank you, Joel. Thank you, Jake and Tom here at Wisecast as well. And to all of you lovely listeners at home. Yeah,
The Hot Nerds.
The Hot Nerds here and at home and abroad. For getting us to the 10th episode. And we just thought it'd be nice to do a little recap.
Yeah, a bit of a wrap up.
Yeah, and also to actually get Joel in front of the camera. He's no stranger to the podcast life as well. So I guess maybe...
I've not done like studios like this though. Mine was just a little uni project. Didn't always have my face on, but anyway.
Well, that's I guess that's why we're here doing this. Partly why I wanted to work with you as well. Maybe we do kick off with a little intro. We can, I guess, both do an intro. I haven't done too much introing about me during the season as well, but let's kick off with...
Yeah, that's true. I mean, we kind of started very, I don't want to say abruptly, but there wasn't much like context or build up. So
no, there was no preamble. There's a lot of podcasts have like a little intro, like short episode where it's like a couple of minutes.
I even did for Curiosity and Rising.
Yeah, well, let's start there. I mean, part of the reason, during the hiring process for the internships, the fact that you'd actually done multiple years, multiple seasons of your own podcast was helpful.
Was it?
So, was it? Hopefully this goes to prove it was. But yeah, so how did you get involved in creating Hot Nerds, creating Curiosity and Rising, and give us some context around where that all came from.
Okay, well, I did have a podcast, yes, Curiosity and Rising, started in 2022.
Shout out.
Yeah, shout out. Finished that at the end of 2024. It was mainly running as a university project, so I guess I could start there. I study communications and media at the University of Wollongong, and throughout our course we're often assigned or told to do... They're called DAs, which stands for Digital Artifact. Basically, it could be a podcast, a blog, just something that's going to live online forever or for a long time, which is why I guess where the artifact comes in. But yeah, so I opted to do a podcast very early on in my degree. I'm not even sure why. I remember being in year 12 and with my friends like talking about how we should start a podcast, and I think that was like the COVID trend around that time as well. But yeah, once I got to uni, I kind of had those resources and maybe a bit of inspiration. Something else that was really happening throughout COVID was like the uptick in like spirituality, sort of people doing a lot of inner work, inner reflection. So yeah, I was like, what if I explored that a little bit? Almost ironically in a way, knowing that I I'm not the stereotypical person for that, and I wasn't even super vested in it. And
As
it was
in
kind
you
of
weren't a full bohemian,
exactly
spiritual, practitioner.
Yeah, exactly that. And
But it perked your interest during the pandemic specifically as well.
yeah, a lot of like, I think TikTok was a big part of that. Like a lot of tarot readings and just like things like that would come up on my For You page, and I really fell into that and got interested in it. And I have actually had a really good reading from like a few months after that. I went and got one, a tarot card reading, and it was like insane, the things that were said. Like, and I did talk about that on my podcast very early on. But anyway, it was supposed to just be like a Western take on these spirituality things. And I did call out that a lot of them are actually from Eastern cultures. And we focused on that a little bit in the first year, and how we kind of whitewash spirituality here. And yeah, it was interesting. And then the second and third season was just more of a lifestyle podcast. Yeah. So that was that. It was pretty fun. It did better than I like thought. Got like, sits now at like a few thousand streams. And I know that it went places I didn't expect or anticipate it to go, like, overseas.
You kept doing it longer than you had to as well, right?
Yeah, yes and no. Like, I did episodes for fun, like outside of it being a project or an assignment for uni. But the 3 seasons were each like assignments for my major. I should have even said that. I haven't said that. But my major within the degree is social and digital media. I'm also doing a marketing one, which I'm finishing up this year. But yeah, in the digital and social media major, that was my major project. Yeah.
So you got to leverage that same project over and over again throughout uni.
And I didn't have to do that. I could have changed it, but
You had that there. Why
I
not?
thought I had already built something that was pretty good and was always getting me good grades and good feedback, and was just quite fun to do. So yeah.
Why not stop? Yeah.
Yep.
Did you enjoy being that intersection of someone who's not that classic, like into spirituality or into, going down that rabbit hole? Was that effective for you in how you were approaching the interviews and going, all right, well, this is because I'm not fully part of this, but it has perked my interest and interest of many people. Did that help keep a little bit of like an interviewer distance? Because I find that, often your audience may not be those hardcore spirituality people. It is people that are, like you said, have some kind of yearning, maybe from the pandemic or otherwise, and all that stuff can be a bit of a high barrier to entry, or just like not appealing because of the way some people approach it. So like, did you find your approach helped maybe bring the two together a bit?
Yeah, I would say so. I feel like there's levels to it, because a lot of the audience was probably like acquaintances of mine or friends of mine or family. And I feel like in that sense, like, yes, I have more knowledge and I do practice those things more than them, but then there are people above who would also tune in as well. A lot of the marketing was through like Instagram Reels, and back when hashtags were really good on Instagram, and I would get like good reach just through hashtags, like hashtag spiritual podcast, things like that. So yeah, it did have a niche audience, and I know of a few people just from online, I don't know where they live or their real names, that tuned in like every episode throughout like the 2.5 years that it was going. So yeah, I mean, I would say that was an appealing part of it, that I wasn't the stereotypical, boho, in another sense anyway.
Absolutely. Yeah. And then now you're here, hot nerds.
Yeah. Yes.
Have there been many parallels? Has it been quite different?
I think less parallels than we had anticipated. I didn't edit on the program that we edit Hot Nerds on. I didn't kind of do the methods that we do at Hot Nerds at Curiosity and Rising. I mean, sure, there was like that creative and just general, how the flow of an episode should sound. But I mean, being honest, we don't even, in Hot Nerds, the run that you do isn't really edited much anyway at all. So yeah, I don't know. I feel like it wasn't that.
It's a different format.
It doesn't feel too similar to me.
Yeah,
I feel like I'm grateful for that experience, and I knew doing that project was a good thing to do, because then I would get more experience from that. And, you know, hence now I've gotten up to a podcasting internship, and, you know, who knows where that goes from there. But yeah, they don't feel too connected in a way, I guess, in the process.
Good. Hopefully that means there's been some learnings.
Yeah, for sure.
Which we'll get into.
I mean, like I said, now I feel like I have the skills like Adobe editing, and yeah, I mean, you taught me like spreadsheets and just email marketing and things like that. Yeah, it's been very different.
Even how to find the right YouTube tutorial on Adobe Premiere.
Yeah, that's true, yeah.
Even something, because I wasn't super experienced with a lot of that as well. Although I did find myself for several years just researching and absorbing the format of like clips and all that stuff. And I'm looking forward to a little break from a little bit of that as well. I don't know how you're feeling, but it's a hustle to keep, you know, pumping this content out every week. And when it's not your full-time thing, or because y'all weren't using social media in the same way in terms of clipping, and you weren't doing video, but you did have a lot of great aesthetic in terms of, you know, the content that you were putting around it, right?
Thank you. Yeah, I really love the Instagram page still. Like, I always want to keep that up and sort of direct people towards that on my portfolio in some capacity, because I mean, at a kind of young age, I feel like that Instagram page like was doing well and looked really nice. And look, that's just thanks to Canva a lot of the time. Even Canva Pro that I was paying for like maybe 2 years ago. But yeah, it's different. But yeah, I only had a few visual episodes. So the art of clipping as well that we do at Hot Nerds wasn't something I was familiar with before.
And if anyone wants to get into what we're doing, do you have any particular takeaways or learnings? Or
oh my God.
Clip tips, you know, or anything, or whether it's something specific around clipping or tasks that we do, or more broad kind of, let's call this a performance review live for both of us.
The real season finale. I would say that clipping is a narrative, which I think you told me. It needs like it needs a hook, obviously. It needs a kind of a conclusion, or even if you leave it, you know, up to a bit of the imagination, that kind of draws the viewer in anyway. So yeah, the art of clipping was cool to learn. I don't know if I'm 100% there yet, because you still tinker with the clips I send sometimes, and you're like, swap that around. But that's been good.
There's some that I have been like,
no, that is true.
No notes on that one.
I've done some that were just like 100% approved. Thank you. I don't know. I mean, it's hard for me to give advice because my position was very unique and dynamic. Like, it wasn't even what necessarily we
intended
at the beginning.
I mean, for the folks listening at home, some context. So this internship was paid. Maybe not to the full employment extent, but definitely more than a lot of internships. But we started out with 3 people, whittled them down to 1.
I was the last man standing.
Last man standing, it's vicious out here at Hot Nerds. But no, shout out to our other crew that was selected through a process that happened around. I think this is a good lesson as well if you're thinking about executing a project or something like that. Sometimes just flicking one domino that is going to force you to do all these other dominoes is just something worth doing. Like, I remember I was going on a trip and I was like, you know what, I'm just going to write this LinkedIn page of like sussing this internship and just press go before I go on this trip, and then I'll have responses coming in during the trip, and after that your timeline's like locked in. You've then got to respond to people, you've got to schedule interviews, and then we went through that process. What would that have been, around early October or something, like mid-October last year?
I think I had applied like end of August or start of September. Interviewed a few weeks after that. And then we did our first office day in October.
That's right, just at the end of the month.
Mm.
So yeah, shout out to Raya and the crew that we had there. Raya, I think, did the logo and then
Yeah, she did.
got new work.
Yeah.
So shout out there. But no, it's you're the last man standing, but that also meant that we had to kind of be a bit more flexible on what our goals were and what the working was going to look like. And even, we probably didn't do as much on the marketing side or the events side that we'd initially intended. Because we didn't have the resources. And then I think, when it rains, it pours. Stuff in my life has happened so much in the past, like say 3 months especially.
That's also weird to think about as well. Like, I feel like we all think time goes really fast, but when you actually can pinpoint something like, remembering back to October or September, my life's changed a lot since that. It's funny, hey.
Like 6 months ago, very different position to now.
But on that, like, we haven't talked about this in a long time, if ever, I'm not sure, but you could maybe say in this episode, like, what that vision was and how it was even born, I guess. Like,
great question.
Thank you. I'm experienced.
He's learned something. The vision for it, in terms of what I was aiming for in terms of a brand, I guess, is captured within the name. I loved the name. I've thought of many bits and pieces over the years of potential projects. I've actioned some of them, left a lot on the drawing board. It's a bit of a leap when that, if you're trying to balance competing ideas and priorities and making enough money, but also, if you're going to be a writer, but you don't have a good network, what do you do to get that network? Is that the priority, or is the priority doing the work of the book first and then getting the network? Can you do it alongside each other? Meanwhile, I had over 10 years of music industry experience and DJing and producing, and so there's this network there of really talented people, of hot nerds. So I think I was looking at, and I guess if I put that LinkedIn thing up, I think that was like start of July, because I left that open for a while. So I must have been thinking about this since at least the early part of last year, 2024, as something where, well, actually, to really go back, it was originally born out of something that wasn't called Hot Nerds. It was some creator dinners that I was running.
Yeah, that's right.
Yeah, so these were just dinners at my house, in my apartment, initially just to help get the network. It was actually, the first one we did was producers. So it was like music producers. I've still got a shit ton of demos that, one day I might do something with, and, you dabble in your DAW, your digital audio workspace, here and there, but I haven't gone fully back into that because of the writing and all these other projects, again, trying to compete with your priorities. But essentially in the year kind of after we were kind of out, pandemic was kind of in the rear view mirror a little bit, but still very fresh. And I had not been in Sydney for a few years. So again, you have this big creative community that you had, and then everyone had been dispersed, either stuck inside, not going out to events, or literally had left the city like I had. So to move back, it felt a bit splintered. And even, whether they were close friends or professional acquaintances or people on your DJ roster that you used to, connect with, it was just an attempt to make all of that, like to bring that back together. And I find dinner parties just fantastic. I love dinner parties and chats over dinners.
Me too.
Yeah, it's, have a wine, have a lovely home-cooked meal, have a joint at the end, medicinally approved, of course. Lol. It's just a nice. It's that feeling that you don't get when you're seeing each other at a nightclub or at a bar or even a coffee date. And often, a lot of those things you don't get to have like a table full of like 10 people or 8 people where you get to have longer, more intimate conversations like the podcast.
Networking opportunities and
the networking, I love that. I think that's why I always loved running events, because you get to bring people together in this real time. It's real. So much of our lives these days is digital. So the creator dinners were a great way of bringing all that together. And then I hosted 1 or 2 writers dinners as well, which was harder to get in a guest list for because I knew so few. But that was also part of it, going like, all right, who do I know? Who have I networked with? I didn't study writing or wasn't in that world. So at that point it was like, invite your writer friends if you have any kind of thing. And, I think that the writers one was called Lit, a writer's dinner. I don't even know what I think the other one was Dinner and Demos for the producers. So we all, and that, had a thing
good
where
copywriting.
Yeah, thank you. We would actually get each other to share demos and put them on the, send the SoundCloud link or whatever, and we'd put it on my speakers and listen to it all and then have a chat about, where the demo was at, if it was a work in progress or whether it's just about to be mastered or whether it had already been mastered and it's about to go get released. So that was really enjoyable to kind of get all that, those conversations flowing in an environment that was very natural, very casual, and just gave the space in a real life setting. It was a bit of a, so it was a pushback against the previous few years, but it's also hard to maintain because I didn't want to charge anyone for that stuff. It's just bring some drink, maybe bring like a potluck vibe. I'll make some chili con carne in there, as I like to do.
I think I saw you making that, the one that I just missed.
The Mexican night. You tried to be there for the last one,
writers' dinner,
and that was the day that train strikes happened to a crazy extent.
Yeah, it was like storming, and I was also feeling a bit sick, and then there were like the worst train strikes
happened that
have happened in ages, and I was like, I should just get going.
Joel lives on the south coast, by the way, so it's a nice effort to come up from south of Wollongong, is it? West of Wollongong?
Yeah.
The general. You want to represent? Where are you from?
I mean, southwest Sydney, sort of, and then I study at Wollongong. So, that general area.
Yeah, so.
Is where I've always, worked or lived, and,
There's logistics in mind.
I don't feel too confident driving all the way to CBD, so I have always, trained it in, and then, it's not always super reliable, especially, the last 6 months that have been this internship as well. But
I'm a very understanding manager. We're
best boss.
We're pretty flexible. You've heard it here first, best boss.
I think I commented that once, and anyway.
Yeah.
So what I'm hearing is that these dinners and these conversations were very valuable, but they were private, and I guess, is that what inspired you to make them public? Yeah,
and I've had to get pushed back a bit. I've had to push back the next writers' dinner just because of some stuff going on in my life around rentals and all that jazz, but we're at a point where we can reschedule. I touched base with the venue yesterday, so finally getting back into...
I did see that email.
Yeah, thank you.
Finally
actioned it, so that's I still want that to be a beating heart and do those dinners or meet and greets, whatever they are. It might not be it's bigger now. I can't have it in my house. So we're going to start doing it at venues and, maybe capturing some emails and maybe reaching beyond the crew I've already, got for all that. So, and to do that more publicly, I thought it makes sense to do it with a brand. And the podcast side kind of came into that just again, because I knew so many cool people who did cool things. And there's also the question of, And Maddie Gray in episode 8 touched on this around, artists and entrepreneurs who have to determine to what extent they're going to be public facing and PR machines and content people, right? How on the front foot are you going to be? And some people that's natural, some people it's not. I think it's more just that I just try and do it and see where it lands. Because doing a podcast is actually a way to create content that's not about me all the time. It's like not you doing face to camera like, hi guys, whatever, or like doing a skit or whatever. And I've done a bit of that and I've tried it, but at the end of the day, I would rather get the network effect of other people's stories and showcase those. Their stories are generally more interesting than mine anyway. Or at least the conversations that you can get out of an hour-long conversation with that person is going to provide a lot better bits for social media, but it's also going to allow that space for in-depth exploration and things that you can't get in little music. I used to do a lot of music journalism, which also was kind of a lead up to all this. A lot of that was written like long-form journalism with Lunchbox and Best Before back in the day. And that was, definitely a precursor, but also taught me that, you can get some fantastic content out of genuine longer conversations. So to marry the two, I thought, Hot Nerds might end up being a collective. Nicholas, who was our other intern, was also like interested in the shout out Nicholas on the music side and the events and around music label. And I was doing I do a bit of work for Tice Jones, a music producer and DJ, and I've done a lot of copywriting for a lot of events from the techno side to the to all kinds of copywriting in the music industry as well. So it was like an idea to bring a lot of that together. Wasn't sure how it was all going to come together. And again, like we said earlier,
it's kind of been the beauty of it.
It has been the beauty of it because we've been, I've been flexible in response to, losing Nicholas and Rhea. So those plans had to be kind of redefined and the goals were redefined. And to be honest, again, we got into a good rhythm after all that anyway, right? Because it meant that we were only really answerable to each other. And our way of working kind of, especially once we were because we were in the Ethics Centre on Castlereagh Street, shout out the Ethics Centre team.
Yes.
Thank you for the office space that we had. So they were really helpful. It also just helped to feel like it was more official. And if you've got a team of 4, you can't just be cafe hopping.
No.
You can't just be in my living room, which is even smaller now. In a partial studio now, so I can't do anything out of there. So it was a massive help. So thank you to the Ethics Centre. Check them out. They do Festival of Dangerous Ideas and a lot of other cool stuff as well. Consider supporting them. So that helped bring it together. And then so in terms of the original idea, in summary, it was born out of creator dinners, desire to network, but also a desire to share stories and platform people that I knew from the music industry, from the swingers industry.
That was a really eye-opening episode as well. Shout out to episode 4.
Many eye-opener. It opened many things. And I'm sure we'll get onto a little episode recap shortly as well.
Yes.
But again, after working with Sydney Writers Festival, after hosting some writers dinners that, expanded my network, I was actually able to interview some people. It was weird because, Maddie Gray I actually randomly met at the pub nearby after the Dobby interview. We switched them around. but yeah, that I just happened to run into her literally just down the street after we finished recording that episode. And again, having a brand like Hot Nerds, it's just that thing that's beyond yourself, that it just, you can say, oh, we've bothered to, even like the effort of paying and setting up for a domain, registering a domain and having an email account that has your domain name. It's small things like that are kind of, it's why people have a website. It's to be official, right? We don't have a website. We just have Linktree. Shout out Linktree. Saving costs.
Yeah, I was about to say cheaper options.
So our revenue model is not that existent yet. So shout out to any free options. Shout out to anyone who wants to donate.
Yes.
Link in bio. And we, but again, with the Hot Nerds idea, we also worked on merch, supply chains and options and designs. We went through a lot of that in those early days before the podcast releases were really rolling, and we chose to prioritize the episodes and the content and nailing a lot of that down. I mean, we spoke to advertisers and some PR crew about getting some, freelance assistance, or, even on Business Manager for Meta, for advertising and all of that, which we're yet to really nail into, because again, we had to prioritize. But we had those conversations, and then it was like, well, let's get this season out. Initially, we weren't even thinking of doing a season, right? We were thinking of just seeing where it lands, and the internship had a expiry date, which we pushed back as well because of consolidating the internship.
Yeah, imagine I finished in December, like that was originally.
Yeah, we didn't even launch until Jan, right?
Yeah,
so
exactly.
Thank you, Joel. Thank you for not leaving me.
But well, on that, I mean, now sitting at the end of that season, what do you think? Like, do you feel glad you've done it?
Yeah, absolutely. It's it's been an expense of time, energy, and money. It's an expense that most people don't have the time, energy, or money to do these little projects, especially when I released a book. Shout out the org.
Yeah, shout out the org.
But that was self-published, right? So that is all my costs as well. I'd finished that run, made some money back from it, and then it's like, oh, let's do this next thing. And it's meanwhile it's taking up day. We a lot of weeks we did two full days, plus I would do some extra bits. Part-time job basically, while I've been doing some more study and DJing every weekend, off until late hours and blah blah blah.
Yeah, I mean, you've had a lot going on, and I think it's pretty admirable that you've been able to churn this out. Like,
it's been a churn, but it's been a positive churn. And yeah, like to your original question, it has been extremely valuable. It's been a gamble, but again, when you think about, you're at uni. I went to uni. I got a massive HEX debt. Hopefully, someone slashes the HEX debt next election. Stop using it as a political football, though. Thank you.
Yeah, that's true.
You spend a lot of money on one subject, just in enrollment fees, right? Like
at least $2,000.
At least 2,000. A lot of them up to
for me these
four
days,
or $5,000 even for some of those more specialty ones. So, I mean, if you look at one semester of 3 to 4 subjects, you're up. It's upwards of almost 10K, right? So, when you think about this and the costings, you've got, the day rate for interns. You've got some monthly subscriptions to software that you need, the domain registrations. We pay Wisecast here for each recording session. The trade-off to that would be if we got our own cameras and mics. I've got one professional studio mic, but it's not the whole Rode setup. But then where do you film? Because my apartments are not.
So you
available.
can just say that you regret it. No, I'm just kidding.
No, that's what I'm saying is the opposite.
You have to have done it.
You have to go through and put all this shit on the table, and none of it's ever not worth. It's always worthwhile. Even Yeji's episode 6, we were talking about, the thing that you just have to do. you know, that's that itch that you have to scratch. And yeah, it's led on to some great things. And the feedback I've gotten has been really lovely. It's gotten into corners that I didn't expect. Again, we haven't invested in marketing.
No, we haven't had like a marketing strategy or
yeah,
outsource like a marketing team even.
Like our strategy has just been whatever organic stuff we can do. Shout out Joel, like on TikTok. I don't want to be on there.
Yeah.
So yeah, for it to have been as organic and and I kind of wanted to see how the results would go off the organics and getting a collaborator post from a guest, you know, and seeing how you organically you can tap into their audience. And it's also a test of how much value you're bringing to their audience as well, and how much value you're bringing to their platform. If you've done this recording or made these clips and they're not sharing it, and they're not, it's like, okay, did we fuck that up, or did we not represent them in the way that I think they thought maybe? But most everyone's been really engaged with it all. So yeah, no, very happy to.
Particular with their social medias these days.
Yeah. I'm not. I'm just like.
I know, and you've said that before, that you prefer to just put it out.
Smash it out.
It's not something that bothers you, but yeah.
Well, otherwise it will bother you trying to be too meticulous. And I think as well, you know, it's not like back in the day, and it's also not like, we're not a fashion brand. Yeah. It's not like an aesthetic that, you know, these days, the amount of video content that's out there, like, just go rogue.
Yeah.
Just be like, I mean, if we do a season 2, I'm like, I want drinks. I'm like overflowing fruit bowls. I want, you know, like bring some Eric Andre energy into it. Maybe not too much of that though, but but just a little edge, you know, because essentially this was the run to see how it felt, what it looked like, get the basics down, get the format down, and yeah, kind of what I was talking about with. I wasn't talking about the costs as a negative necessarily, as to like, it's not been worth it. But it's good to know like what all that gets you. It's good to know, and again, comparing it with investments that you make in your studies, like we now have, you know, even you have a portfolio attached to this.
Yeah, and that's the thing, like I look at Curiosity and Rising as like my stepping stone into this, probably, and then who knows what your stepping stone from Hot Nerds would be. Like, I mean, we can cut this if you don't want to reveal it, but I know that you've said like you would like to get into like screenwriting and screen media. So
absolutely, yeah.
Who knows that this could be something that someone looks at and goes, oh, okay, cool. Like he's done that. He's good at that.
And that's the thing about doing shit yourself. I think, and it was actually, it was a director that I saw a clip of talking about this, but talking about filmmakers, he was talking about if you want to be a director, you can't wait for the studios to give you that job or
call you.
Sorry?
To
call you up. Yeah. No one's gonna call you up and give you the offer of a lifetime until you've gone in and built that body of work yourself. It's like, all right, well, how can I build a body of work if no one's gonna hire me? It's like, you can hire other people to build work. You can source actors, writers, you know, you can write your own script, blah blah. So, you know, they can be short films. So in the same way with this, it's like, I mean, we're doing hour-long podcast episodes, you know, often more than an hour.
Yeah.
There's a lot of short films that are like 5 minutes, right? Obviously a lot more editing involved and a lot more like story structure and all that. But
there's still the beauty of podcasting and long form media.
Yeah. And again, you now know what that process looks like, and I didn't get a job working for someone else's podcast. You just do it, and the money that you spend on it, at the very least, even if you get no money back, it's just an investment, like just the same as a uni course is, or a TAFE course, or any course that you spend, you know, a bit of money on. I mean, I think this will still end up, for the 11 episodes for this season, and plus all the extra software and all that, and your fees and stuff, I think it's still going to end up cheaper than my debut music video that I made in 2020, right?
Oh, wow.
Which, you know, didn't exactly go anywhere given the timing of the pandemic, and that was all January. And, you know, that was, you know,
You don't do podcasts to make money. I mean, everyone knows that. Everyone says that.
yeah, you
I
need
mean,
to
even
get to a massive
I heard
scale.
Jackie O say that today, that she doesn't make money off hers, and
Yeah.
she's a pretty big Australian celebrity, so
Yeah. Now currently under
investigation.
under investigation. Lol. But that's the
I do shamelessly tune in every now and then to find Jackie O.
market research.
Yeah, I mean that's my excuse.
So yeah, it's absolutely been a value. It's great for the portfolio. It's great to just find out. I think another thing that we've talked about a lot, because I've had to determine as we go, like what our priorities are going to be based on also what time and energy I have as well, and realizing what you love to do. One of the things that in episode 2 Baron Hansen mentioned was, you know, because some of those earlier episodes with people that were in media or ran their own shows, I'd often ask, like, do you have any advice for
Yeah,
doing
I remember
this?
that,
You know,
yeah.
especially those early ones. And I remember Baron and Rachel both kind of saying, whatever you're doing, you know, make sure you're doing it with love and out of love, and getting love back out of it. And it was great advice, because I have loved the process, but it has taught me that I don't love it as much as, say, writing a book and hustling in the writing space, or even, you know, DJing and all that jazz. Even though I'm nicely comfortable in the DJ world now, you know, you could still go bigger and, you know, better, you know, more big shows and stuff, and produce more so you can bolster that. You know, there's still a lot of that there I could do, but essentially where I'm at, I love the writing. I don't get much time to do, and I love that. And I'm probably better at it than podcasting.
I mean, I think with no experience, you really came in with like a very nice interview style and managed, like, yeah, to host in a very, I think, admirable way.
Oh, thank you.
You're welcome.
I mean, I did have the music journalism background, but yeah, it wasn't like big bright lights in a studio for an hour long plus sessions can be draining as well. You have to be really, hooked in, and a touch of the tism, the bright lights can sometimes be a bit for me. So
Yeah, and it's just attention span. As well, managing that.
Yeah. So no, it's all love, but yeah, in terms of, you know, next steps, I do want to make more space for, like the next book I've got like 30,000 plus words into it, plus however many words in a freaking world building document for magical
your own personal little wiki.
It's literally a wiki. Yeah, it's pretty common for like fantasy writers, especially. You have to keep track of all this kind of stuff. But yeah, you really, I'm not a writer who can, like, there's writers like, you know, I think John Grisham and, you know, all these people that can, especially in the earlier stages of their careers where they're trying to transition into writing, they've got a full-time law job and a family. They come home from the law job, put the kids to bed, and then they start writing at like 10 p.m. And that I maybe used to have been able to do that when I was younger, doing all-nighters and stuff. But and I'm only 32, but I'm starting to, I don't know if it's the Friday, Saturday night AM finishes with DJing, or
that'll do it. Yeah.
What it is, but I don't know if I can/want to be like burning the candle at both ends in that way. But I guess you do what you got to do.
Yeah.
But if
even Madeline said in her episode that pressure cooker, you know, she wouldn't do it again, but
it helped for that book.
Helped for the green dot writing.
Yeah. I definitely wouldn't mind a 2-year advance.
Yeah, no.
But that's part of this as well. Like, if you can knock this out, I think we realized that putting a limit of 10 episodes for a season was good, rather than having it open-ended.
Yeah, and since the beginning of the year, we've kind of been looking at Easter as the
wrap up
time, and
and we nailed that pretty well. Like, this episode will go live the week before Easter.
Yeah, I think I'll be having wisdom teeth surgery on the day this comes out, we said.
Well, in
2 weeks.
You'll have something nice to listen to while you cry in bed. Yeah.
Yeah. Oh, God.
Damn. Yeah. I'll be thinking of you, Joel.
Thank you.
Everyone tune in to this episode.
Send thoughts and prayers.
Yeah, to support
I have
Joel.
6. Yeah.
6 wisdom teeth out.
It's not common. It's not normal.
It's not normal.
Yeah. Most just have 4, but my teeth just like to grow.
You get that bonus. Just like this bonus episode.
Yeah.
Although a lot more painful.
I'm full of bonuses.
So yeah, that's Hot Nerds in its various forms.
How it was born.
Yeah, how it was born, and yeah, the name speaks for itself, I guess.
Well,
yeah, we had I made a pitch deck, like a brand deck, kind of saying like hot can be many things,
Yeah, I mean, if you haven't figured it out by now, like each guest has been a hot nerd. Like they've been someone creative and also academic and whatever.
Yeah, there's been a good mix.
Who do you think was the most, when you envisioned and titled this thing Hot Nerds, like who was like the guest that was like, oh yeah, that's like what I thought. Like
you nailed the brief.
Yeah, like you were academic and you were, sexy or creative or something. Who do you think? Oh yeah, for sure. I don't mean appearance wise.
But no, it's also about how you style yourself a bit as well. It's it's everything about hot being hot in the moment and on fire. It's having a bit of confidence.
Even hot could be like you're onto something, like you're burning. Yeah. I mean, I don't really care what someone like looks like as well. It's something that I realized about my own insecurities around if you just have confidence and if you have a passion like all these guests have that they've hustled towards and been nerdy about, that's hot in and of itself, really. So yeah, I mean, does anyone in particular epitomize it? I mean, not to pit the guests against each other,
but no, I mean, like all of them really. I guess like the ones that were more specifically academic, maybe, Dylan Hardcastle, in the thick of finishing their PhD, a very esteemed, author, having 4 books under their wing, but also an amazing array of creative pursuits. The activism, a lot of activism across a lot of the guests as well. Chimera Gamage, from the Amnesty International, Julian Assange,
Mickey Kojak. His passion for synths and just music and production, that was just such a hot nerd.
Exactly,
like literally a nerd. Like you look on his TikTok, like he's got a niche and he's nailed it down, and like he's so interested and informative about it. So yeah,
absolutely, yeah. He's literally just bought 2 new synths. He's broken. Actually, thank you. He's broken his 12 synth limit, as he talked about. He's like, no more. He's like, I just can't help it. The affliction and the addiction continues there.
I think that was the first clip I made, or that we put out.
There you go.
His synth calendar.
The synth calendar. Yeah. Thank you. Shout out to Mickey for actually, I had
my all-time favorite, I have to say, I'm sorry to interrupt, was episode 2.
Episode 2 was your all-time favorite?
I mean, maybe in the first half. I'm not too familiar with the second half. Like I haven't really been. I don't think
you went through them all, didn't you?
I edited every episode.
who was doing?
No, I just
first
mean
passes?
like I haven't. I guess like as I got more into the practice of editing and just this job, like. My ears weren't maybe like as open
on the content side.
Like as imagining myself as a viewer in the later half of the season maybe. But when it was first coming out, before, like when I was listening to it before anyone even knew this was happening or was coming out, it was more of like an exclusive thing, and I was like actually listening to it like how I would normally listen to a podcast, I think. And there was just something about episode 2 that I think because it was also similar content to what I used to do in Curiosity and Rising, it was like meditation and spirituality and everything. I just loved it. Like, I don't know, just something about especially Rachel's, moving from New York and just uprooting her whole life. I just was like, I don't know, I just have mad respect for you. Like, she knew something needed to change and she just changed it. So yeah.
Have you ever done something like that?
No. I
you
don't think I
felt the
ever will
need?
either. Like, I haven't felt a need, but even if I did, I don't know if I'd be that brave to change my entire life.
Well, it takes us
I mean, I
those
went and
steps.
did like overseas study and tried to find myself, and
Did you find yourself?
no,
Still looking?
because everywhere you go, you take yourself, right? Like, you don't actually.
Straight out of curiosity and running right there, surely.
Yeah, a bit profound, but like you don't. It's even like it's the same as like watching The White Lotus. Like that's the show that explores that. I don't know if do you watch The White Lotus?
I've seen 1 and 2. I haven't seen the latest
Season 3. It's a bit of a slower. I don't know if it's going to be in retrospect as good, but I'm really enjoying it each week that it comes out. Like, I think that's what The White Lotus explores. Like, rich assholes or nice, beautiful, kind people. Like, doesn't matter what location or what holiday you paid for or where you're going. Like, you are you, and you can change that, but it takes work. So.
And no matter which resort you escape to around the world, it's still your...
Yeah. But Rachel said that as well. She said, like, even moving to Sydney was beautiful and everything, but I was still me and I still had to deal with my problems and everything. So
did you was there anything in that episode that you took away that was different or in addition to, say, insights you'd gleaned throughout Curiosity and Rising? Other than, of course, Rachel's
well, I guess the scientific like evidence that they had that backed up the benefits of Vedic meditation. Yeah, I mean, I hadn't heard that before. A lot of people don't believe in these things actually having benefits or concrete proof, but they actually backed up everything they were saying with like some pretty good facts or sources. So maybe that was what did it for me. I'm someone that likes a bit of
evidence.
Yeah.
It's nice to have evidence for our claims.
Of course. I mean, even that's why I think I mentioned earlier when I actually went and got a tarot reading that was just beyond accurate and said things that did come true weeks and months later and said things that she couldn't have searched about me or known about me or, anything like that. That's to me a nice piece of evidence. Like, okay, maybe there is something out there. There is some people with this gift, that can see perhaps the future or perhaps into your
energy
or life path or something. And yeah, I like that I had that evidence. Yeah,
the first-hand experience of that.
Maybe I'm just realizing that now that I am someone that really likes evidence. Yeah,
but also the spiritual.
Yeah, yeah.
Me too. There's a reason I wanted to have Baron on and Rachel on because I fuck with it.
Yeah, I think everyone's just going through life not knowing. I mean, when you're a kid, you think adults they have it all figured out, but I'm realizing more and more now as I'm like getting towards the end of uni that
no one has
that
got
cannot be
anything
further from the
figured out.
truth.
Yeah. We're all just
everyone's just, and also like even, it's still your first, like, well, as far as you know, I mean, I do believe in like reincarnation and stuff, but someone being 80 and someone being 10 years old, they're still in their first life. So yeah, that's something I heard recently that stuck with me.
Yeah. And it is that feeling of the 80-year-old probably, other than physically maybe, mentally, and my mum says this,
Same as my mum.
They still feel they're 20 years old.
Yeah, she's like, I feel like I'm maybe 25. Like I don't
and I was a dickhead at 20, so hopefully I'm not still a dickhead. I wasn't too bad. Come on. But yeah, so that's episode 2. I mean, yeah, again, they're all, even the boys, Will and Tommy, in episode 3, which was
that was one of the highest viewed.
Yeah, and again, that's because the band Radium Dolls. I think they've got a great following, super engaged, and they produce a lot of great content themselves, a lot of great shows.
Yeah, I watched their they did a live recording going through their whole album. Sorry.
Yeah, nice.
In their like shed at their farm or something.
Yeah.
That
Such
was
a
really
good,
sick.
Yeah, fantastic. That was the full live album at the farm, and to be able to tap into some of that really engaged audience was really good. Especially when we got to follow it up with like Yeji for episode 6, which was also in that kind of not rock, but a young artist in that kind of a little bit rocky, but more on that alt pop vibe and
almost punk as well. Some of us.
Bit of that, yeah, exactly. So
emo.
Yeah. You know, and then of course we had Dobby again.
ARIA award winning. Not everyone can say they had that on their podcast.
Yeah.
Especially your first season.
Yeah. No, and thanks so much to Dobby for coming through, and pretty hectic conversations, of course. But yeah, he has that great sense of activism, academia, musicianship, just engagement, even on the spiritual side, you know, with country and history here and identity. So yeah, he's another fantastic one. I mean, we could go through all of them, right? Like, you know, we touched on Mickey's episode, and again, I really appreciated Mickey for jumping in semi last minute. I'd always wanted to have him and his partner Babbitt on the show. She's also a hot nerd.
Yeah. Season 2,
yeah, to have her, like, that was the idea, but I had someone else lined up who she in the end couldn't jump in it. So Mickey was really, to have him on, and you know, he's got a great following as well. He's been so active, releasing music, creating content. He's touring literally as we speak. You know, so he was great to have in that first one. He's just he's a great character. And then we had number 2, which again, that was one of our longest as well. Episode 2 with Baron and Rachel on the Vedic meditation side, and I love that one as well, because that to me was a really easy conversation, because it's stuff that I have thought about a lot. I've done Vedic meditation with Baron. As you know, there's infinite topics to explore, right? Yep. Because it's about, you know, all these infinite spiritual bits and pieces that humans intersect with. So there was actually, I had a good lesson in that episode, because I've had to figure out to what extent I talk.
Really? And
to what extent I'm letting others say their piece and then I move on. And especially when you've got 2 guests, so early on in the piece, I was really wanting to just not add too much in. But in hindsight, I wish I'd kind of like talked more about my perspectives around free will. Because mine, I kind of was more like Baron's more reflected my core stance, and Rachel had some different angles on it. And I realized that it's actually more interesting, and it's okay to have a little bit of that positive tension, to actually like posit different things and different angles on things, so that it's more interesting for the audience, but it's interesting for the guest to also like bounce back and forth with me. And so yeah, it was, and then I think later on, you know, for example, with Dobby and some of the others where you're talking about some pretty real shit, I think I felt a little bit more had a bit more license to just pitch ideas and stances, which all, again, helps the guest kind of jump. That's another jumping off point, right? Or they can just skip it altogether. It's up to them. Because even watching back, I was like, ooh.
Really?
But the tension was good. Like, that's why.
But you're making content, and that's what your role is as the host, is to just churn content out. Obviously, you want it to be good, high quality content, but I mean, that's up to the guest what they respond to, and take your lead or don't take your lead. Yeah.
But no, I was really happy with that anyway. Like, you know, again, no one needs to hear everything that I have to say either, but it's just about figuring out when to jump in, and I'll talk about free will another time.
Stay tuned. I really wish I was here for episode 4.
Episode 4, yes.
That was one that I didn't actually attend in studio, just edited.
So when you were episode 4 was our interview with Jess and Lawrence.
I wish I met Jess. I just wish I met Jess. She's just everything to me. She's so funny. Like, she cracked me up like maybe 5 times editing Yeah. I was like,
Amazing.
oh my God. This chick is sick.
So shout out Jess and Lawrence.
Yeah.
They are the owners of Our Secret Spot, the Swingers Sex on Premises venue.
Most awarded.
Yes,
sex
most
club
awarded.
in Australia.
Indeed.
As far as they know or we know.
Yes. Yeah, and it goes to show. So I'm glad that was a fun one for you to edit, working from home.
I mean, yeah, I wasn't really across swinging or even sex clubs prior to that. So, but a lot of viewers of your podcast probably aren't across most of what you've introduced and talked about. So that's been the beauty of it as well.
I think that's also part of, to like your question earlier around hot nerds is like the concept and branding of it. It's it allows to bring in all kinds of people. It's broad and it's specific, but it's also broad enough. So yeah, to be able to still say, yeah, they're business owners, they hustle, they run their own podcast,
Well, no one is just one thing.
no one's just one thing, exactly. And I think the Hot Nerds honors that, and yeah, to be able to mix a first season with novelists, with sex club owners and sex workers, mixed with bands that are going off, mixed with all everyone we've had.
It's been amazing. Activists.
Yeah, Chimera with episode 5. So was there anything in particular from number 4 that you took away, other than some good laughs?
No, I mean, yeah, it was just more of a humorous, lighthearted, interesting one to me. I wasn't inspired necessarily. I'm not going to go swinging, but not yet. But yeah, I just thought they were really great people.
Yeah, fantastic. Yeah. And then yeah, Chimera's was obviously just so insightful. My mum was like, "Oh, he's such a darling."
Yeah,
listening to Chimera.
That's sweet.
And obviously for me, like hearing about the Assange case was,
and that's something that was very relevant just last year.
Yeah,
in Australia,
getting freed
everywhere. Yeah,
and even more relevant now with the general space of
free
journalism
speech.
and free speech and fascism in the West.
That's
so.
right.
And then yeah, Sarah, like Yaji's episode was fantastic. She goes really deep, and she's very genuine. She knows how to tell her story, and yeah, that was another one that just flowed.
Yeah.
Episode 7 with Banquet, Sam and Lando, shout out. That was another really funny one.
Yeah, very funny.
But also, yeah, one of those ones that a lot of people had good feedback around, like the insights of being a Sydney club promoter and
yeah, and there was nice perspectives on, being a woman and being perceived that I took away from that as well.
Yeah, fantastic.
But as well in episode 6, the
Similar.
themes around that, growing up, struggles she'd had.
Yeah.
Housing commission and
Yeah, Yaji's stories.
there's just a lot to be learnt, like for anyone who listens to this whole season. Yeah, there's a lot of great stories. There are.
Yay.
Episode 8, yeah.
Yeah, Maddie Gray, shout out my first novelist on the podcast.
Well, seeing as we're coming up to that time, with that in mind, novels, like a question I had written down for you was like, I know that, obviously you've written the org and you are in the works and you're hoping to really ramp up the works of your second novel after this settles down in the next couple months. Has chatting to like Dylan and Maddie as authors like helped you and informed you, or did you guys maybe on or off camera talk about like writing techniques and things?
I think it's more because since the first drafts of the org, of this piece of
that
work, that part, it
is a great book.
Thank you.
You're welcome.
His mother-in-law loves it.
Yes. I'm not married.
Not married, but
yeah, my boyfriend's mum.
Is there a word in English for that? Just boyfriend's mum?
I don't think so.
That's it, yeah.
Even like I'm going to the gym with his brother's girlfriend tonight, and it's like, she's not my sister-in-law yet, but like, what do I call that?
Yeah. Maybe in good time, we'll see.
Yeah.
But no, with the conversations with them, it's more just inspiring to hear what they're journeys have been like, I think it's it's always great to hear someone else's craft and someone else's approach to craft. I think something that benefits both me specifically as a writer, but also anyone who listens to those episodes, is how to balance priorities. And hearing about, both Dylan and Maddie had a lot going on, at least Maddie for her first book, and Dylan, every time that they've written a book, there's always other things competing for your time and energy, which is always something that I have to deal with, and I'm trying to clear the schedule. And it's really reiterated the importance of just doing the work, but also realizing what the core work is, So obviously we've hooked in on this and we've executed everything, more or less to the level that we were hoping for. Anything that we didn't was just because of time as a resource. So same thing for writing. It's I don't think there was anything in terms of techniques or anything, although it was more the reading of their books. And
did that inspire you?
Every time you read a book, you're inspired in one way or the other, whether it's going, like Dylan, for example, wrote, because I've also got dual POV in this, and I think we talked about it on the episode. It was great to see how someone else executes that. With Maddie, it's great to read, someone who hits that zeitgeist of young people, and see the tone that she wrote in, and that there's so much. And then to be able to then talk to someone about it, I think, to wrap that up, I have to always stop and remember how much I wanted all this back in the day. How much it, growing up regionally, there's no writers around. There's not even much of an arts community, maybe some local musician vibes, but it's not like you can just duck off to Sydney Writers Festival for a weekend, or it's
You're very much a part of Sydney creative culture.
Well, these
and
days,
the arts.
But you got to hustle to do that, and be really open to like collaborating and communicating and just supporting people for the sake of supporting people. And that's been really lovely, and this podcast has really facilitated that. It gives you it gives you a good reason to hit someone up for a chat, right? Because you're also creating all this extra value for them, in terms of clips and content. Now they've got a whole episode they can point towards, and hopefully they've shared stories that they wanted to share. So in terms of chatting to those writers, it's also why I love doing the writers' dinners as well. It's if I'm passionate about something, I just want to be amongst all of it. And it was funny, like hearing Maddie talk about like her writing network as being like not, kind of a casual professional thing, but she's got her friends and they're not necessarily in the writing space. Whereas I'm like, I like having friends for the sake of it. Often, from uni or whatever it was, I got friends in the swinging world, the writing world, like, DJing and music. So I understand that sometimes those are the contexts that you have friends within, and I love, hopefully see more writers at the next writers dinner, and the fest, always happy to chat writing. And again, nothing specific maybe, but always an inspiration, and always good to go, that's how you got from A to Z. And obviously it's different for everyone, but it's just great to know what possibilities there are to execute and achieve your goals. Which I think across everyone, authors or otherwise, that have been on the show, I think that has been a through line. Everything that people have talked about has been universal. Like you can apply that to yourself and your endeavors. So I'm really happy. A
lot of lessons, I think.
I'm really happy with that. That's how it's all come together, and hopefully people have copped some insights from our conversation. I don't know, maybe. But any final thoughts on the internship? Now you've helped you get an ABN, and
I'm just very grateful for it. I mean, obviously, we applied this as like a university credit recently, and you wrote like a really nice cover letter, and you kind of said like how I was selected out of 100 applicants or something, or over 100 applicants, and Yeah, that's kind of weird to think about. I feel very grateful for it, and I've learnt a lot. And you've got a great network as well that I've been able to like witness, and yeah, it's been just cool. Like I can now edit, like I said, on Premiere Pro, and yeah, just like do little things like email marketing and spreadsheets and, you know, clipping podcasts and yeah, TikTok even, like I was never really across, but now I'm trying that, and yeah, it's been good. It's been great. It honestly has been great, and it was a paid internship, like you said. You weren't just exploiting me for free like so many people offer to do on internships. So yeah,
I love paying with experience.
Yeah, no, it was good. Yeah.
Well, thank you very much, Jake and Tom here at Wisecast, and everyone who's supported and listened and commented. Like literally every share, every comment, it just punches it out further to the.
It's also just a really nice feeling as well.
Yeah, to know that you're not just chucking stuff into the endless void.
Yeah,
which
so often happens these days.
Yeah, which is also fine. Like to your, again, like wrapping back to what we were saying about has it been of value, and it's like even if you're just sending your art or your project or your ideas out into the void, and you don't think anything's coming back, you're still speaking it into existence in some way, and it helps you refine what that idea is and how you articulate it and what you're going to do with it. It's, again, if anyone wants to leave here with any lessons, is just do the thing.
Yeah.
It's right.
That's the future anyway. It's the gig economy and metaverse, and just prepare.
You got to know. Yeah, you got to do as much as you can so you know
the world's changed.
How to navigate all this bullshit as well. Yeah, but yeah, like the idea of just like to know that the Domino was writing that LinkedIn post, or not post, but the job listing for the internships. That really like. I could have not done it that night, and we could be in a very different place.
Might have taken you months longer to.
Might have been months later, you know,
or years.
So you just do that thing, and then I like to force myself to do, like try and fuck my future self over, but in a good way. It's like if I'm gonna do this, that means you're gonna have to execute this in X amount of days. Or
that's a good way to think of it. I've never thought of it like that.
Yeah. That's like you take the action now, knowing that it's gonna force you to reply to that thing again, even
knowing that your future self is doing it because they have to now.
Yeah, because you've kind of committed by the virtue of like even emailing the venue yesterday for the next writers' dinner. I was like, this is just going to force me to get it into the calendar and get the invites out and blah blah. It's good. That's a small scale, example. So, yeah, do the thing. Don't be afraid. Don't be afraid if it's a bit shit as well, because you'll learn from that. Don't be afraid. We've tried different things, and I've let you go with stuff, and it's all an experiment anyway.
It's all A/B testing.
It's all A/B testing.
Yes.
Indeed. The lingo. Well,
Marketing student.
Well, any final thoughts, any final queries? Buy my book, please, everyone.
Yeah, buy the org and stay tuned for book 2.
Yeah.
Kieran's now leaving us to go write it.
Yes. Well, there will be more dinners and some events. And then, we'll figure out what we're going to do with the rest of Hot Nerds beyond that. But I think, again, seasons are okay. The nature has seasons, so do humans.
True, that's a good way I haven't heard that example before.
There you go. Yeah, it's don't feel bad about your body or your mind not constantly being on.
It'd be nice to kind of take some reprieve in like over Easter and then into winter and
let it simmer. You gotta let things percolate and marinate to really understand their flavor and then to know where to go next with it, if at all. Make sure that all these things are in line with the love and the intention and not competing with other core passions in a way that causes cognitive dissonance. On that final tongue note, shall we wrap it up?
Thank you guys. Nice to chat. Been behind the scenes for a few months and now I'm here.
Indeed. Well, remember, lean into your seasons, people. This might be the season that's bad and you just need to get into the next season of recovery and then get into the next season of doing the thing that you've been wanting to do, and whatever leaves have to fall off in the meantime, that's okay, and we'll keep growing and we'll grow Hot Nerds to wherever it naturally wants to go. And wherever you want it to naturally go, dear listeners, because send in feedback, comments, questions, concerns.
Yeah, and thanks for listening, especially if you've listened to multiple episodes.
Yeah,
it's been cool.
Massive appreciation. And thank you to you, Joel, as well, to wrap up. Season 11.
Episode 11.
Episode 11. Damn.
Yeah, okay, on that note.
Before I make any more errors, Season 1, Episode 11. That's a wrap.
Kieran.
Thank you so much. Cheers, team. Mwah. Thank you for listening to the Hot Nerds podcast. We don't host ads, but if you find any value in what our team does, please feel free to support us via the links in our show notes or buy my book, as it greatly assists with producing this show. Thank you again. See you soon. Stay hot, stay nerdy.